Welcome back, everyone. We are still on our tutorial questions, activity 1. Now, activity 1, we have done question 1. We skipped question 2 for later, and we are on question 3. On question 3, we have done the total basic time. We know how to fill the table in this particular activity. Now, we have to find the element basic time. And for us to find the element basic time, we need to make use of our second table, which is the time study analysis sheet. Now, let's go to our solution. This is question 1. Question 2 is skipped, and this was the first part of our question 3, time study observation sheet. The table is filled. Just to refreshen up our mind, we know how they were asking us to calculate the basic time because we needed to find the total basic time. Alright, so remember to do this. You take your ratings, you multiply by the observed time, and you divide by 100, and that's how you get your basic time. You do that for all the elements in all of your cycles, and you repeat the same procedure. And for you to find your total basic time, you add your basic time of the cycle, and that's how you get your total basic time. Now they're asking us to find your element basic time. We find our element basic time in our time study analysis sheet right here at the end. This is what they're asking us to find. For us to fill this form, you have to be careful. Remember, here we have our element 1 to element 10, for example, and we have our cycle number. Remember how many cycles we have in these activities. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You might have 4 cycles, you might have 5 cycles, or you might have 10 cycles, depending on the activity. But in this particular activity, we only have 5 cycles. So for us to fill these tables, we're going to make use of our basic time. We have to go back to our table or our time study observation sheet. And this is our basic time. We are not going to take element 1 up to element 6 and fill it in our element column here. No, what we are going to do is we are going to take the first element in each of the cycles. Remember, be careful when filling this table. We have the cycles here. We have cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, and so on. And then we have element here. On our first one, we have the first element in the first cycle. We have the first element in our second cycle. We have the first element in our third cycle. What do I mean? You come back here. In your basic time, we are using the basic time, not the observation time. Basic time, which is 30 in our first cycle, 30.01, and that's how you're gonna feel 30.01. Alright, we have to move on to our second one, but still second cycle, but element 1. Which one is our second cycle? This is our second cycle. We are gonna take 41.4, and that's how we're gonna feel 41.04. Now we're gonna move to the third one, which is gonna be our third cycle, but still our first element, which are gonna be 37.11. Third cycle element 1, 37.11. It's either you do it this way or you do it per cycle and per row. I am doing it per column. You do a way that will be easier and faster and more accurate for you. If you want to do it per row, you also gonna do your first cycle and then you're gonna put all your element per row. It's gonna be 30.1 for our first element. Then for our second element, still in cycle 1, it's gonna be 39.79, which we're gonna put here 39.71. Then we're gonna move on to our third element, but still in our first cycle, which should be 37.35. We're gonna do the last one, which gonna be our first cycle, our in the element 4. First cycle, element 4, we are talking about the basic time. It's gonna be 52.68. So we're gonna come here, you just put 52.68. And that's how you go about filling your time study analysis sheet. Now, for you to find your total, obviously, you just have to sum your element in your first row, and you will get your answer. Let's fill up everything in our first row. We are on cycle 4, element 1, which is gonna be cycle 4, element 1, which is 37.11. In this case, it's gonna be 37.11. And then we have our last cycle, element 1, which is right here. This is our last cycle, element 1, 33.78, which is 33.78. Now, for us to find the total, we're just gonna do 30 plus 01 plus 41 plus 04 plus 37 plus 11 plus 37 plus 11. There's something wrong here. Element 1, cycle 3, it should be 56.35. Apologies. Right here. This is 37.11. And your answer should be 198.29, and you find it by finding the sum of this element here. And for you to find your element basic time, you're just gonna do the average. And how do you do the average? Your sum of this divided by number of n. In this case, our n is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's going to be 198.29, which you're going to divide by 5, which should give you 39.66. After filling for the second row, for the third element, for the fourth element, fifth element, and sixth element, you do your totals Then you divide your totals by n, which is the number of times the element we're repeating in each of the cycle. And then you're going to get the answer. I hope it's clear enough, and I hope we all know how to do your time study analysis sheet.